Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Snow Brothers, brought to us by Capcom. Based off the arcade game of the same name, Snow Brothers is a very enjoyable action title where you have to blast your way through 50 levels, dealing with some bosses along the way, and turning lots and lots of enemies into snowballs. As we begin the game, we're going to get our opening storyline, which unfortunately goes by a little slowly, but then we'll be into the first level. So in Snow Brothers, you're able to blast enemies and turn them into, well, big old snowballs, and then blast them across the level in order to get rid of them. The gameplay is similar to the likes of Bubble Bobble, where you have to just destroy all the enemies and then you'll move on to the next screen. The game is a lot of fun, especially being able to hit an enemy like near the top of the level and have it bounce all the way down and take out other enemies along the way. There are several potions that you can grab in the game in order to increase certain stats. Red increases your walking speed, blue increases the amount of snow being thrown, thus it's easier to cover enemies. Yellow increases the distance that you're throwing your snow, and then green you inflate and you can destroy enemies for a period of time as you're inflated. If you end up losing a life though, you end up losing your power-ups. If you take too long on a level, the evil Pumpkinhead will show up and end up chasing you around, so you gotta be careful of that. Destroy the enemies and get through the levels as quick as you can. A lot of times there's a nice strategy for destroying or defeating most of the enemies quickly or effectively in each one of the game's levels. Finding out those strats and figuring out how to best these guys quickly has been a lot of fun. I'm going to take out the enemies on the left side here before going over to the right side and then dealing with the ones over there to finish up Stage 5. For floor 6, go all the way up to the top. You always have a brief period of invulnerability every time you start a new level, so you can use that to your advantage to get through or up to where you need to be in order to deal with a few of the enemies. Once I have the increased power, my goal is just to keep it for as long as I possibly can, and it's actually possible to keep it throughout the game. Thankfully, a lot of enemies will come up to us here as we finish them all off quickly. Every 10 floors is where you'll be facing off against a boss encounter. For these enemies to get to the top, we're going to hit this one here and then take out the ones on the other side to make sure they're all done. If you end up getting run over by one of your snowballs, you become invulnerable for a small period of time, so that's something else you can use to help you out. I'm going to take out all the enemies near the bottom first, and then take out the one in the center area here. And now it's time for the first boss encounter. For the boss, we're going to attack from a distance, but make enemies that he throws out into snowballs and then launch them at him. This does the damage to the bosses, and you just gotta keep doing enough of it in order to defeat them. Just keep watching out for the enemies that he throws out, and then bounce the snowballs at him until he's taken care of, and we're moving on to the next level. After each one of the levels, you have a very small cutscene that just shows the princess still being kidnapped, and then you do a slot machine. Floor number 11, we're immediately going to the very top, taking out the enemy, and then you can just hit him to the left or right, whatever you need to, just finishing off all the rest of them. You can use the ramps to kind of help you out and launch enemies up them, which is always fun. Quickly make my way to the top real fast, and if I do it quick enough, I can destroy all the enemies before the invulnerability really ends up wearing out. Gonna once again go to the top, destroy this one on the right, and if I time it right, I can destroy all the enemies with a single snowball on this level. A lot of times if you do something cool like that, you get rewarded with some bonus items and extra points. Use the snowballs, you can go up the ramp to take out the one guy at the top. Here I end up getting that potion, but I'm at the end of the area, so I don't really get to inflate. For this, I'm going to get to the top and take out the left enemy first. Hopefully the right enemy will have come down by then, if not, just go over and finish him off. For level 17, we're going to go to the top, take out the blue enemy, and have him bounce all around. All of the enemies do have names. The base enemy is Chili, you then have Shiver, and the blue enemies I've been dealing with is Igloo. The big boss that we dealt with just a few moments ago is named Ogroid, which is just a funny name. Floor 19, work our way to the very top, hit this enemy on the left side and deal with the other ones along the way, waiting for the one on the right to drop down, and We take him out with that rolling snowball. Time for the next boss encounter. For this boss, it's in the center at the bottom of the screen. You're gonna get up on the platforms and you can fire at it if you like, but you mainly want to hit the bombs it shoots out and turn them into snowballs and then back at him in order to do damage. Every so often the boss will disappear, just wait a moment and it'll come back and you can continue dealing with it. Once you deliver enough hits though, the boss is taken care of and we're moving on to the next stage. As we begin level number 21, we're going to head to the top. I think the green enemies are fridge. I could be wrong, just because they don't necessarily look exactly like they do in the manual. But, yeah. Fun names, nonetheless. Work my way up the right side. Going to take out the enemies using the snowball as they come towards me, so I can at least deal with most of them with that one. I love being able to hit from a far distance on some of these, so you can freeze some of the enemies before they really even get the chance to do much. Right here, I'm going to take out the sumo man known as Icy. The sumos don't need to be taken out, but they give you extra points if you do take them out. So I just wanted to showcase one time taking them out, and then finish up the level. Over halfway now through the game as we reach floor 26. Pretty easy one to deal with, just the 3 enemies that we have to take care of. The icy enemy we're just going to ignore at the top. .27, work your way up the left or right side and just take out the enemies as you're jumping up. You should be able to hit them all, at least with one of your blasts before too long. Right here, I'm going to freeze this enemy and then just kind of wait for the other 2 enemies. I'm going to lure them down to the bottom and then take them both out here. Here, quickly make your way to the top to just get out of the way of some of these enemies, use that invulnerability, and then finish them up. It's time for the next boss encounter. Now this boss is 2 enemies that you have to deal with. We're going to freeze the different eggs, the birds that they end up throwing out, and then bounce them back at the bosses. You have to take them both out. A lot of times I'll start making the snowballs and just keep them here until one of the bosses ends up landing. Once you deliver some hits, it'll change color, so you know you've been doing pretty decent so far. Then one more hit, usually after that, and it'll be enough to take them down. With them taken care of, we're moving on to level 31. As we continue on, make my way really quickly to the top and deal with these enemies right here. I think they're Frogger? I'm not sure, though, what those enemies are. A few of them I'm not quite sure, just because, like I said, they look a little bit different than they do in the manual. A little bit of a difficult level here, making my way through it. If you grab this snow face, you end up getting this little mini game that you can end up dealing with some enemies, get some extra points and the like. You can see that the pumpkin head showed up for just a moment, but I was already done with the level. I'm going to go to the top, deal with this enemy in the left corner, and knock it all the way down the stairs to deal with them, and then do it the same thing to the other one. Here I grab another one of those objects just because it ended up giving me another one. I can quickly take care of them. Here you have a bunch of enemies in the center area. Be very careful of them. You can attack from a distance if possible, or wait for them to dissipate, at least one of them leave, and then get in there in order to actually hit them. Quickly make my way up to the top and then deal with the ones on the left side. After they're done, I'm going to work my way to the other ones on the right, using the one enemy as a platform to get up and take out the other couple of ones there just to finish up the stage. There's a lot of other games similar to this, like I mentioned Bubble Bobble. Another one I like on the NES that never made it to North America is Don Doko Don. There's also, of course, the sequels to Bubble Bobble, not just Bubble Bobble 2, but Rainbow Islands and Paracel Stars. Which one of those kind of games, though, is your favorite? I think Bubble Bobble is probably my favorite because I played it the absolute most out of all of them. But Snow Brothers is a lot of fun if you've never given it a chance. Here we have 4 igloo enemies. Going to get to the top if we can, dealing with the one, and then slowly work my way up the rest of them. I can use the snowball that I create with the one igloo to make myself invulnerable for a second in order to get up to the top and deal with the rest of them. Level number 39, I'm going to wait right here for the enemy to kind of fall down towards me. All of them will make their way towards me eventually. I can just bounce back and forth with this one snowball, as well as just keep making new ones and take them all out without having to leave this little chamber. For the next boss, this one's a bit difficult for sure. We have this giant boss, and we have to keep freezing these flames and such, and then actually hit him towards him. It can be a little bit difficult to get the flames off of him or get him on a level where you can actually hit him easily. After you hit him a few times, he'll change color, so you know you're making progress. Here I'm building up a few snowballs, just kind of waiting for him to fall down. And hit him with the last couple of snowballs I need in order to complete the fight and move on to the final set of levels. Floor 41 is up next. We can fall through the floor and go out the top. This is something that we'll be doing a bunch now in these last levels. Here we're going to take out these bat enemies. You can do so from a far platform if you like. Once you've taken out a few, or frozen a few, just take out the rest of them. Sometimes it takes a second for an enemy to land, in which case the pumpkin guy will still show up, even if the enemy's just kind of bouncing around already defeated. Use my invulnerability time to immediately drop down and blast open the bats as quick as I can and finish them off before they're really able to get going. Stage 45, we're going to drop through the floor right here and then take out all of the enemies at the top. And then just finish off any extra ones that have made their way down to the bottom. Halfway through the final set of levels here. Going to drop down, immediately attack the first bat, then deal with the second bat before dealing with the other two enemies that are hanging around. Simple, straightforward level, just drop on through the floor immediately with your invulnerability time, take out the big group of them, and then finish off the one on the left. I'm going to climb on up here instead of just dropping straight through, wait for these bats to kind of come down and just pick them off one by one as needed. Floor 49 here. Drop on through the floor. We're going to take out a couple of the ones at the top. Drop on through the floor again if need be in order to just chase down the last couple of enemies to finish them off. Pretty easy final level here. And now it's time for the final boss encounter. For this boss, you have two things on the left and the right side. You have to destroy them both. You can alternate between them if you like as far as attacking them. They shoot out bubbles constantly. You have to wait for the blue bubbles that end up coming out to make an enemy, in which case you can then turn it into a snowball and launch it at the boss. They also, if an empty bubble, can capture you. If you get caught in an empty bubble, immediately start mashing the attack button to hopefully get out of the bubble before it makes its way to the ceiling and you end up losing a life. During the fight though, thankfully, they will also give you some power-ups if you can potentially get them. So if you do end up losing a life or don't have all your power-ups going into the fight, you could potentially get some of them back. This is a lengthy fight for sure. It'll definitely test your patience and skill as you make your way back and forth just trying to take care of the bosses. Sometimes you're just at bay waiting for another one of those enemies to come out so that you actually can make a snowball. Once you deliver the final hit to one, just focus on the other one, finish that one off. Once we're able to deliver the final hit to this boss though, we get to sit back and enjoy the ending, the Snow Brothers, on the NES. So there you have it, Snow Brothers for the NES, a very fun and enjoyable game that I recommend checking out, especially if you have a friend to join you for the adventure. It can be a lot of fun co-op for sure. As the credits finish up and we get presented by Capcom, we can press start here and go back to the title screen and start the game all over again. But with that, it's going to wrap up this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.